Good morning, everyone. This is Tony from her Homestead Skills. And I guess today I would like to talk about something that has been brought to my attention more than once, and that is the concept that they did this to us on purpose. They want to create fear and panic in the population. I happen to have a different opinion myself, and I'd like to express that today. So all people need at least two basic things in life, and that is food and shelter. Those are two very basic necessities. And shelter is one of those things that is acquired once, and we furnish and maintain our shelters according to our ability and our needs. Whereas food is something that needs to be replenished. So whether you grow and harvest your own food, or you go to the supermarket and you fill up baskets from foods all from around the world, we all need a certain amount of food every day. Most of us replenish food on a weekly or a monthly basis, and because of unexpected events, some of us have experienced mild food shortages, perhaps for the first time ever. My own research shows that the food industry as a whole was only slightly affected by the current events, and although lockdowns affected many goods and services, food was allowed to be distributed, bought and sold without too much inconvenience. Store shelves did not stay empty, but are replenished on a regular basis. At worst, we face having to stand in line to get into stores that we used to walk into freely, and perhaps paying higher prices or delivery charges for those of us that chose not to venture out in public. But by and large, food is still plentiful and available. And so, mass panic on a wide scale was averted. The population on the whole remained mostly intact, although functioning on a very limited basis. And sadly, it was the most vulnerable, the old, the sick, and the weak that lost their lives. Those that could work from home did, and others have lost their livelihoods and incomes altogether. So quietly and without a hindrance, a major societal shift occurred, and its effects may not even be apparent for a long time to come. However, we no longer hear about the milk producers dumping their milk because they have lost the large market that used to buy their goods. So what did they do? Well, I have no facts to back me up, but logic tells me that they either slowly scaled back production or found new markets for their products. Perhaps milk is turned more into powdered or canned products, or just not produced at all. But it takes time for changes to occur. New markets aren't just waiting to snap up the excesses. Not normally. I mean, certainly people would hope they would, but normally you have to work to develop new markets. And there is no on-off switch for an animal that produces milk. So many industries faced similar issues. For some, there was a glut of product that could not be sold, and for others, shortages occurred because what was previously a consistent demand for their product year in and year out was now being bought up in much larger quantities by a much larger population that was interested in their products. And this created, as an example for one, the now famous toilet paper shortage, and grocery stores being stripped bare for a time until it became evident that the food supply chain would not falter and collapse. Not yet, anyway. So moving forward, more people recognize the value of a bit more self-sufficiency, at least as far as their food supply was concerned. And many turned to their mothers and their grandmothers' art of putting in a garden and food preservation to develop an in-house food pantry, perhaps for the first time ever. Others who had been preserving food for years also saw the need to increase their own personal stock of preserves, either for their own needs, their immediate family's needs, or their neighbors who just didn't get it and may go hungry without some assistance. These events created the perfect storm for the canning jar and lid shortage. I don't know how many people have told me they did this to us on purpose. They deliberately created a shortage. They are trying to create panic and fear. Perhaps it's easy to control and take advantage of a fearful population, but a panicked one is a recipe for disaster. Controlling fears and not panicking allows people to make more informed decisions. And so perhaps I'm naive, but I don't believe that everything is out to get me, and that Hanlon's razor is actually applicable here. And what Hanlon's razor is, it's a saying that states, to never ascribe to malice that which is adequately explained by incompetence or stupidity, or, I believe in this case, lack of foresight. But how could anyone foresee that this would happen? Companies could have some sort of backup plan should issues occur, and they probably did not. Because had many peoples and industries been able to foresee the events that were about to unfold, surely they would have been better prepared to weather this storm. They would have reduced productions of goods that could not be sold, and they would have ramped up production of items that would be in high demand. It makes no sense to create a shortage on purpose. The net effect is that it opens the door to competitors who see the void and decide to produce products to fill that void because they know they could sell them. Or other individuals that see an opportunity and purchase everything in sight only to resell at double the cost. These individuals also harm a brand's reputation. They do it no good. It's simply a supply-demand issue. When supplies are low or non-existent, the demand is high. So what to do? On an individual level, I believe that if one food preservation method is unavailable to me, there is always another. And dry goods appear to me to be a good long-term storage alternative that don't require jars. I will likely be looking into items such as powdered milk, wheat berries, and other grains that can be stored long-term using other means besides glass canning jars if I cannot find enough jars. Perhaps some of these items can be stored in non-canning types of glass jars as well, if I still want to use glass. Perhaps I will consider increasing my supply of rice and beans as well. I will do all the canning and preserving in jars that my supplies allow, but I also recognize that there are more cost-effective storage methods for other types of food. And it may be extremely beneficial to have a larger quantity of these kinds of food in my pantry. The shortages will continue as long as people feel insecure about their food supply. That does not mean people should panic, but exactly the opposite. They did not do this to us on purpose. They mainly lack vision and foresight and don't plan adequately for possible disruptions. Perhaps we have just become too reliant on a system that can easily be broken. And perhaps we have to adapt and plan for changes, and learning how to be a little more self-sufficient is a good thing all the way around. This is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. I hope you found this little video informative and enjoyable, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a great day.